Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Soul School. You know, last week I had Ronnie Laws and Tom Brown, which I was totally mind blown. Anybody who watched that show, the younger brother of Hubert Laws, who was my favorite flute player on the entire planet. Right now, I'm equally honored. Most of you guys don't know who this guy is, but you guys were all raised on his music. We can talk about the San Francisco label, then we can talk about Warner Brothers Records, where he had the great distinction, much like Charles Wright and Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band and Earth, Wind & Fire pre-Philip Bailey. I'm just so excited. This guy is a great arranger, composer, writer. Without further ado, please welcome to the show the one and only, the legend, somebody who should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Greg Adams, arranger, writer. You know he can play Tower of Power.
Thanks, Calvin.
And now you're doing your own thing. Give me some, man. Give me some. I'm excited. I got to feel some of this, man. I'm almost ready to cut my hand and cut your hand and get a little bit of blood and get a little bit of that,
That's
boy.
Funny. Well, you know, yeah, I've been around for a while, and yes, I was in Tower of Power for many years, but I now have this my latest solo project. I was in Tower of Power. Let me reverse a little bit. I was in Tower of Power for 25 years. I joined in 1970 on the release of the first East Bay Grease. That was the first album. And I left in 95, and quite frankly, I thought I was just going to be going back to L.A. and be a studio musician, because I did a lot of that stuff, you know, ads, movies, TV. And so the day after I put in my 2-week notice with Tower of Power, we were in Germany. I got a call from Epic Records, our label at the time, and they said, well, we've heard the news. We're sorry to see you go, but would you be interested in a solo contract? Since you're a key member in the contract, we'd love to, you know. And it was just the kind of the edge of you know, a Quiet Storm and then moving into smooth jazz. And so, you know, I thought, well, yeah, sure, I'll give that a chance. And there's not a lot of trumpet players in there. There still aren't. But a lot of saxophone players. So I thought, well, maybe my odds are good. And I scored pretty good with my first solo record. It's called Hidden Agenda. And it was a smooth kind of thing, real small instrumentation. There was a couple of songs on there where I used my trademark big horn section sound. But it was really atmospheric and that kind of stuff. And so fast forward, this is my sixth solo CD, and it's called.
I had no idea that you had even dropped that many CDs. I had no idea.
Yeah, I've
number 6.
Yeah, this is number 6. I bounced around to labels. You know, I've probably been on and dropped by most of the major labels, and now the last few records we've done on my own label, which is very, very cool, because at first that was hard to do, but now so many people have their own labels that you can really control what's going on.
Right.
You own your own masters. It's not indentured servitude to a record company that can just flip the books to their advantage anytime they feel like it. I mean, I know the story, you know, I've lived it. So this is the new one. It's called East Bay Soul 2.0. The last one was the first East Bay Soul, and it's an ensemble project. It's a big band, it's 10 pieces, with a lead singer, and his name is Daryl Walker. And Daryl also plays saxophone. So when he's not singing, we have a 5-piece horn section. Normally it's 4-piece. It's a big band, but I've gone back to my roots for what I was known for with Tower of Power. When I left Tower of Power, I took my sound with me. And so,
sir, if I may interrupt, what you're known for, what the world has copied and everything else, when I think about all the different people that came after you and what you were doing arranging-wise, groups like Sun with that big band sound and KC and the Sunshine Band, I mean, really, there was only a few of you. And it seemed like there was always, I mean, when I think about you take me back to my childhood, and I think about groups like the Nightlighters and just people who were really trying to do it. But with you, there always seemed to be a different level of sophistication that nobody else had. And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, like you almost have to dumb it down for people, for us to interpret it. My brother plays jazz, so I have a little bit of a trained ear.
Yeah.
I always were able to hear what you were doing.
Well, one thing I've found is the word dumb down. Yeah, you could use that term. But you know what? I've found that.
Well, you had a great balance, I guess is a better word.
Yeah,
you were able, unlike a lot of other jazz cats, you were able to balance it really well.
Well, you know what I think? I use this adage a lot. Music is a language, and you learn to speak that language. And through your years of speaking that language of music, I think the older you've become and the more versed and experienced in the language of music, just like in prose or in oral, in speech, you learn how to say more with less, and that's what I'm finding now. I could orchestrate the hell out of something, and I do a lot on this new record, 2.0. But there are some moments in there where it's just a paper-thin score, and it says, I feel that it's more of a testimonial to where I am today. I can say less, I can say more with less notes, and I think that's well, it's just you can communicate to so many more people who don't get all the, but they get that melody and they get that hook, and we've got a lot of hooks on this record. I mean, it's laden. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, I really think that this is my best work yet, and I kind of have to judge myself like that because I want to reinvent myself every time I do a new project. And
every time I've heard you, you've always done, just from what I know from studying music, you've always, for those of you who don't know who are younger than me, I'm 46 years old, this cat, Rufus and Shaka Khan, the album with Sweet Thing on it? This guy arranged the whole album, Fool's Paradise, all of that stuff. Graham Central Station, intro, Let Me Entertain You, he did all of that. I mean, like I say, the Tower Power stuff is one thing, but much like Michel Legrand and Henry Mancini, different people like that, he's done a lot of stuff that you guys have no clue on what he's done. I'm honored just to sit next to you because I know what you've contributed, and like I say, it's an honor just to be here with you, man.
I mean, when I think back, I really have had a pretty varied career, and I've worked with so many more different people.
Yeah.
Like from heavy metal to Dionne Warwick to Celine Dion to like say Rufus and even there was a band in the 70s of this kind of a southern metal band called Molly Hatchet. And we even played a live show with them at the Hollywood Palladium, and it was like, man, we were out of our element, but they hired us to play on their record. We were like the in-demand horn section, and we played with everybody. I mean,
in-demand horn section is putting it mildly.
Yeah, and so I was every week I was arranging different styles of music, and I could become a chameleon and kind of change my colors to adapt to what I thought they were looking for. I was fortunate that my writing style was what they wanted. I didn't have to like second guess to see what they were looking for. When they came to me or us, they knew that what they were going to get, and it was a certain sound. So we got a chance to put my stamp on it, and it's been over 1,000 records I played on.
It's amazing when I sit back, and for those of you who may not know, when you're into music like this, especially a lot of the audience I have is a lot of 60s, 70s, and 80s and stuff, and I don't think a lot. Well, probably people who watch me because I kind of get into that avenue, but the arranger, I can't take that really, really lightly. When I start thinking about like people like Isaac Hayes, Johnny Allen was an arranger that would do, Willie Hutch would do a lot of the Motown stuff, Gene Page and different people like this. And so when you listen to a lot of the stuff that he's done in reference to all those records, like the Urban Renewal for Tower Power and all those Back to Oakland, Squib Cakes and all that kind of stuff, between you and I tell you, David Garibaldi's playing and stuff like that, Chester, I sit back and I'm just, even to this day, I'm mind blown.
Yeah.
That stuff was like really some different stuff, so I can't wait to see what you guys do tonight.
Well, it's you know, with a big horn section and a big rhythm section and a great lead singer. Daryl is just wonderful. I mean, he's the best singer I've ever worked with. And in this kind of situation, the last East Bay Soul record, which was the one before this, I had 4 singers on it because I was still searching for what I was looking for. I got there, and that last record is strong, but this one really focused it. I mean, went laser focus on it, and the elements that are on it. It goes from you know, there's 5 instrumentals and there's 5 vocals, and we do a cover of "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye. That is just really.
Well, I can't wait for that.
I did it over.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
We originally, Daryl loves that song, and you know, we were doing it live, and the audience loved it, and I said, you know, we got to put this on that record because it goes over so big, and if we play that live like we'll do tonight, and people say at the CD table afterwards, you know, when I'm signing, is that what's going on this CD? And I said, yep, I'll take 2. The guys, you know,
I guarantee with your arrangements, I can basically guarantee that's going to happen.
We kind of took it a little bit of a different tack. We were doing it very traditionally, with the alto sax playing the intro, and then in the middle we did a big break where I would trade on muted trumpet with alto sax and go back and forth, and it was, while it was good for the live performance, I had to wean it down and, you know, carve it up and make it a little different for a record that was like going to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. So I said, you know what, if this is going to be my record, then I'm going to take the alto off and put a muted trumpet playing the signature intro that everybody knows.
Yeah, it's Eli Fontaine, for those you may not know, from Motown, that played that on the original record.
Yeah. And so we took the big solo section out, and we just did a real understated little muted trumpet, and it's really special. I'm so glad we put it on the record. And there was another song that I like to go into the studio with everything chosen, all the repertoire, you know, the number of songs I'm planning on doing. I want to have it all there before I start. I don't want to be struggling and searching for that 10th song.
Well, I got a quick question before we get to some entertainment real quick. What is the secret, if there is a secret that you can share with the audience about what you do in reference to arranging? Is there is it a spiritual thing, or I know you say you have everything kind of thought out, you kind of have a vibe on where it's going to go. I mean, what is it for Greg Adams that actually, what does it all encompass for you? I mean, I know you can't get into all of it.
No, you know, and it's just a feeling, you know. It's just like, you know, I have a knack,